What if you could build a business that gives you the life of freedom you deserve? What if you could find the secrets to marketing, leadership, customer service, and other aspects of business that help you exceed your goals? What if you could walk away from your business for 30 days and it never misses a beat? That's what this podcast is for, to help business leaders like you find freedom from the day-to-day grind and start spending your time doing the things you love. I'm Levi McClendon, and my co-host is Josh Taylor, and this is the Cheers to Freedom podcast.
Hey, welcome to the Cheers to Freedom podcast. I am Josh Taylor, and I am with Levi McClendon. And Levi, we're on a boat.
We're on a boat. That's right, Josh. We are sailing. This is amazing. We are sailing in Greece right now. We're actually in this little town called Petriti, Greece, and we're just wrapping up the end of a week-long sailing trip. What do you think about sailing so far, Josh?
This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, and it is. It's been an amazing experience. I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea what it meant to go sailing, and the feeling that you get, like when you turn the motor off, you throw the sails up, which is not easy to do, by the way.
He says throw them up. It's a little more than just throwing them up.
And it wasn't until after we put the sails up that Levi said, they make gloves for that. They're just not on the boat. And but that feeling that you have when the wind just picks it and gets into the sails and you just start moving and you're just completely under wind power. It's just such a cool feeling.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. The first time that my wife took me sailing, I was hooked. Yeah. And you get out, you get to disconnect. This is the first podcast I've ever done. Sailing, a little bit of work here, but we felt like it was, as we started sailing, Josh and I started talking a little bit, and Jeremy's with us as well, and we started just talking about how amazing that the wind went on a sailboat, when you put everything working together, right? Your sails and the rudder, which way you're heading, obviously the direction that you're going, how fast, like we're on a catamaran, they're not light. But how fast you can go with just the wind. And so we started talking about even business. And so it kind of came to just, we weren't planning on this, but then we're like, hey, why don't we talk about this? It's a perfect time. People are really kind of scared about a recession again, things happening, what to do with their washes and memberships and things like that. And we thought, I think this would be a good opportunity to talk about recession proofing your car wash.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that fascinated me about sailing is I never really knew what goes in, all the stuff that goes into sailing. And so it's not just hoisting the sails up and you go. Like, there's a lot of different things that you got to move around. And honestly, it takes more than one person. Like, I can't imagine one person being on this boat and trying to do this by themselves. So it takes 2, 3, 4 people to get all the parts moving together, to get all the right ropes pulled and all the things in place. And it really is like a business. Like, you can control the direction you're going to go. You can control getting to your destination if you have the right things in place. And, but if you just hope it all works out, you're going to end up somewhere,
just by
but maybe
raising
not where
the
you want
sails,
to go.
It isn't going to get you where you want to go, and it's actually not even you're not going to pick up any speed.
Right.
And here's where I think this is important. A lot of you listening to the podcast right now, I'm going to call you the captain, right? You got to have somebody in charge. You have to have a captain. You have to have somebody that's actually giving the orders. Yeah. And you need to go here, you need to raise that sail, you need to as a captain, you need to steer, you got to use the wheel, put yourself in the right direction, first of all, to get the sails up, and then you got to turn, and then you got to go, keep the boat going in the right direction so that wind continues to move you along. And so as we talk about this, as the captain of your ship, you've got to make sure that you are putting people in the right place, telling them the right things to do, get your marketing going. That's what we want to talk about right now, is how do we sustain and keep the boat going in the direction. And here's the other thing. In sailing, one thing that you realize is you cannot say, I'm going to go there, and I'm just going to turn the boat there and hope that the wind takes me there. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Now, you could get lucky, and that day the wind could be blowing just perfectly for the direction that you're going. But there are times that you have to sail out of the way a little bit to keep that wind in your sail in order to get to your final destination.
There's a term for that in sailing.
Well, you end up tacking.
Yeah.
Okay. So in sailing, I'll talk about that right now. You're going to head one way with the wind, and you got to get wind in your sails. You want to go 3, 4, 5, 6 knots at least. And then in order for you to turn back, they call that tacking. And you have to be moving. You can't just be sitting there, or you're going to have to start your engines, right? So if you're going and then you tack to the different direction, you have to...
you can catch the wind. When
you got to catch the wind, but you're pivoting.
Yeah.
So a lot of times in business, you've got to pivot. So even in this if a recession is coming, you may be just cranking in memberships, or you may be, your single washes may be down or up or whatever. It doesn't really matter. There's got to be some changes. I think that some of the car washes, if you prepare for tacking, right? If you prepare to change directions, I think that's really important in business. You can't just be pedal on the metal the entire time, one way, one direction, and then all of a sudden look up and be like, oh crap, like this isn't
going
working
the wrong
anymore.
way, or we're not going anywhere. Yeah. Well, and I think that's when we think about what happened when COVID started, and we were all concerned. There were shutdowns happening. There were a lot of questions because we didn't know how long this was going to last. We thought it was going to be 2 weeks, and then it was 3 weeks, and it was 4 weeks, and it was 2 years, and we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what to do, and for those businesses that had a way to engage their customers through all of this, those were usually the ones that continued moving forward. They continued. They didn't lose. If they lost anything, they didn't lose much. But most of them continued to grow through COVID because they could engage their customers. They had a way to do it. For a lot of businesses, especially the ones that began to fail, they realized we didn't put the right things in place before we got there.
Right.
And that's what we want to talk about today is you put the right things in place and everybody knows what they're doing before you get there. Then when it comes, there's nothing to worry about. Inflation is an issue. Gas prices are an issue. Shutdowns, lockdowns, masks, mandates, all these different things. These are things that are affecting our customers. And they're affecting your customers, and it's affecting your business. But it doesn't have to and there's things that we don't have to stress about because we know we've got the right things in place. So if the engines fail, we've got the sails, and we know how to use them. If we don't have the wind, we've got the engines, and we know how to use them. We know how to do the different things and the different maneuvers, and we don't just have one thing in place to get us there. We have multiple avenues to get us to where we want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even, I talk about things on a boat, right? Fenders. Fenders are those bumpers that protect you. So if you were going to go into a dock or near another boat or, whatnot, so it's going to protect you from that. And I think in business, I was talking to Josh, I'm like, you got to protect your business. You got to protect your car wash. And a lot of you are doing a great job, even by building these memberships. But I think part of being prepared is continuing to build this database. And that's why we talk about marketing so much. We're always constantly talking about build your database, build it, because the thing I realized, Josh, is during COVID is we grew so much because people were realizing they weren't able to communicate to their customers. And communicating is marketing, right? It's the words that you're saying to your customers. It's letting them know when you're open, letting them know when you're closed, bringing them in for a special deal. I know that Cinco de Mayo was yesterday, and there were several texts that went out that even talked about, a $5 offer to get people in. I think that's a super smart thing to do, but without a list, without a database, you have nothing. You don't have anyone that you're talking to. So that's why we continue to hound this to our customers, is build that list. And in my opinion, you look back to in 2007 as well, when 2007, 8, 9, when we went through this recession, it really woke a lot of people up, and they wish they would have done a lot of things prior, because it was, if you think about it, things were amazing. It's kind of like today when housing prices were going nuts. People were buying houses, they were flipping them, everyone was just making a ton of money. And I kind of feel that same feeling. Yeah. House prices are going up, people are making a ton of money. I'm not sure that there's a bubble, I'm not sure that there's a recession, but it's starting to feel that way. And so before it happens, you need to build your marketing, build your database, and I'd rather you have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Right. Does that make sense? Well, prepare for it.
And one of the other folks that are on this trip with us is your brother Travis, and he and I were talking at breakfast one morning about marketing, differences between marketing and branding. And there's a lot of businesses that spend the money, time, and resources on the wrong thing. So when we start a business, we get really excited, and so we start thinking about the logo and the website and the colors and the names and all this stuff. And we put so much money and so much energy and so much time into those things. But in reality, if you're a small business, those are not the things that are going going to make you money. And if you're doing branding, so Nike, when Nike got their logo, they spent $100 on that logo. They got a design student in college to build that logo for them. When Pepsi rebranded and redid their logo, they spent I think it was $2 million or $2 billion. I can't remember which one it was, but it was way more than $100 to rebrand that logo, their one logo. But there's a difference between branding and marketing. Branding is what you do when you're a national company. When everybody knows who you are, you got to get your logo in front of people. When nobody knows who you are, which is most of our customers, it's us. Nobody knows who OpSpot is. It's not about us getting our logo in front of people. It's about getting in front of our customers and letting them know who we are and what we do. And that's where your money has got to be spent. You've got to build that database. Your customers don't care about your logo. Your customers don't care about your website. Your website is important, but it's got to function the right way. And they don't care about how pretty it is as long as it's solving the problem that they need. You've got to build that database and get in front of your customers. That is marketing. And those are the things that make you money. Don't spend time on the things that aren't making you money, especially right now as we're heading into uncharted waters. I think we're heading into uncertain waters for sure. We've got to spend the money and the time and the resources on the things that are going to build your business up and stop wasting money on the things that aren't. We've got to really assess those things. And to me, and I think you would agree with this, the most important thing is really building that customer database.
Yeah, absolutely. And going into these uncharted waters and as the captain of your ship, it's up to you. And so the things you could do today, so simple. I wouldn't get too far into the weeds on all of the follow-ups and the messaging, even though we do that. Like if you work with OpSpot, we're going to help you with a lot of your messaging and your follow-ups and whatnot. But I think when you need that list, when things change, when you need to drive traffic, when you need to increase memberships, when you need to reduce churn, increase retention, when you need to do those things, you have to have the tools and the ability to do that. So you need to put those in place now. Again, don't get too far into the weeds. You could literally, within a week, you could put a sign up on your site that the call to action is simply just text in for that free wash, right? We talk about that a lot, but guys, it isn't just about giving things away. You're talking about exchanging the most prized possession of a person right now, that is a mobile phone number, in exchange for a wash. And that is an exchange. That isn't for today, you guys. That is to plan for the future. That is to make sure that you are investing in your future, not just for you, but for the employees that you've hired and the people that you brought on. You want to continue. You want to stay afloat, right?
Right.
You don't want a hole in your boat. You don't want a hole, in your sails. You want to keep things moving. You want to keep things going. So if there's one thing that you can do today, and this isn't just for prospects. I want to talk just real quick, and then we need to wrap this up. But the other thing that I want to talk about are your current members, right? You guys have a lot of members. There's a lot of customers we talk to that they've not collected any data from their members. So the POS is, so a couple things. Number one, make sure that you talk to your POS company and have them, when a new member signs up, okay, make sure that the mobile phone number is a requirement. Make sure that you tell them you want them to make sure that the mobile number is a requirement so that you're collecting it, because you're going to need that, okay? That's number one. And number two, everyone that you've already signed up in the past, do something on site right now as people are coming through with maybe a contest, even for your members only, that you're giving away a free membership for a year or something like that. You could do a QR code and a sign, have your attendants talk to them, hey, thanks for coming back, or scan this for the chance for this. The reason why is you want to start building the database that you maybe have lost. So it's not too late. It's not too late to start building the data of your customers, and reach out to us. We have a lot of good ideas. We have a lot of our customers that are not just going after those single wash users or those prospects, but also to start collecting data from your existing users that maybe you didn't do in the past. So there's a couple tips that I would highly advise you do that now to prepare.
Never give away a free wash for free.
That's
always
good.
Always get a phone. That list of phone numbers will become the most valuable asset you have, especially when it comes to your marketing.
Well, and to touch on that again, my mind started thinking about the free wash for free as we wrap up here. How many times Josh will send me these Facebook posts of customers, not our customers, but car wash owners.
Our customers know better.
We hope so. That literally on Facebook would be like, grand opening, free car wash, come in and see us, or whatever. And there's no call to action to exchange that free wash for a phone number. And then they open up for 2 weeks, give away thousands of car wash,
and have no
data in exchange for that. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see with grand openings and people opening up new washes. Make sure that you're exchanging that wash, that free wash, that experience for a mobile phone number so that you can re-engage with your customers.
Your customer list that you can engage in marketing is the wind in your sails. And it will take you where you want to go, especially when things begin to look dangerous. When things begin to look uncertain, that list will get you to where you want to go. You've got to make sure you have the list. I'll use one example as we close. We were talking to one of our customers, and it was a cloudy day. We actually went out and played golf with them. And it was a cloudy day. It was kind of, a little, not rainy, but one of those ugly days where people don't go get their car washed. And we asked him, what do you do on a day like this? Or what does the wash look like? And he said, it's pretty slow. And I said, what if you could send out a text to everybody on your list that wasn't a member, everybody that's tagged a non-member, and you just said, $5 off any wash today, rainy day special, today only. What would that do? And it was an epiphany to him. He was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't just have to use my list to do a follow-up automated drip. Like, you can engage your list any day you want to and say, you know what, we want to drive extra traffic today. Maybe it's a slow day. We can engage this list, and I guarantee you his wash would have been busy on a day that's normally really slow.
And I think that's going to be really important, especially if we do, the discretionary funds as things change in people's income. And obviously we have gas prices going up and inflation in general. As people start looking at their budgets, they are going to look at things like washes and the memberships that they're paying for, and when they start seeing that, those are some of the things that are going to fall off. So I think it's really, really critical not just to push those memberships, but to push those single wash offers, right? To get people to come back to your wash, and you're going to really wish that you had that list to be able to send those messages out to during this time. So
good stuff.
All right, well, Josh, it's been awesome sailing. We've had a really good time, and we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Speaking of wind, let's hope that it picks up a little bit so that we can head to our next destination here.
Glad you guys could join us in Greece today, though.
That's right. So, hey, until next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.